Hansel and Gretel have become bounty hunters. Don't like witches for a very good reason, right? And that's what their lives are. And it's the one line on it's pretty interesting. But it was really important to all of us to want to have that bond, as you said, was really, really important. Going through such a tragedy, when you only have each other, you don't have parents, and witches are trying to eat you. So you gotta take the pain and do something good with it. Hansel and Gretel have this I suppose you could call it a gift that's where their witches' spells don't work on them. So that allows them to do what others, like there's trackers and other hunters, but the witches' spells can kill them and hurt them or turn them into frogs or whatever the heck they can do, But their spells don't work on us. What was interesting to me, what Tommy had written, there was a lot of room for character and developing amazing bond and relationships and behavior in a really fantastic world that there's no rights or wrongs because it's a fairy tale. Gemma is a real gem for sure. We got very lucky finding her. We did read a lot of really great actresses. It took a long time, but the real trick, I feel like, with just finding the right girl for this was obviously we had kind of look alike, but there was also a weight that she brought without really having to do much. Whether it be her own past experience, I don't know, couldn't tell you, but because we looked alike and there was something already right there, and we couldn't have been more lucky to have found Jim. Peter Stormare plays the sheriff. He's a very big character in the sense of energy and sort of how he kind of presents things, very theatrical. And he plays a really tremendous villain. He's not in a sort of twisty mustache way, but just sort of in a unpredictable sort of behavior that makes him unsavory, I suppose. Pila was also another really wonderful, lucky find for us. That we found early, but we wanted. We're glad we got her, and she has a really wonderful quality about her as a woman and also as an actress, and it's and the through line between the two is just that she's charming. She's elegant, she's beautiful, and she's funny, and you just kind of want to. You want to stare at her. It's like to me, her face is like a piece of art. I just always just found myself just staring at her, and she couldn't be more sweet and a tremendous actress. Famke plays Muriel. She's sort of like this, I guess, sort of like this the witch that sort of she has more powers, let's say, than other witches, and she's definitely one to be feared. Even for us, where witch spells don't work on us, it's still one that she's hard to take down. The initial attraction to do the movie came from a little one sheet that I got before I even got the script, and it was something that they end up shooting in the movie. It's of Hansel and Gretel walking away, and a witch burning in the background. It's fire going, and he has a shotgun, and she's got this crossbow, and they're just kind of walking away, and it's just a poster. Like, that's interesting to me. I don't know why, but it was. And then, being in actually shooting it, it was as I imagined it to be, and even more so sometimes. Having the environment and the world around you feel like it was. And so I didn't have to do any green screen really for the most part. I got to use the surroundings as I would, as if I was there. I wanted to not leave that world. To be honest with you, when I was walking around Augsburg in this cool ass leather coat and just getting off a horse, and I got a shotgun on my shoulder and grabbing some apples, and I like to live like this. This is kind of cool. And they have this old cool tavern, and they scoop beer out of the trough, and I don't know. There's something really primal that was really, really fun to me. Most of it is all practical. Even the witches flying off on brooms, all practical. It's not CGI. They're all on wires or whatever it might be. It's awesome. I mean, there's this scene where I come down from the top of the mountain with Pila and leave her there with a machine gun and come down around, and literally there's 60 witches there, and we're probably the structure of rock is, I don't know, 70 feet or whatever, 50 feet. It's massive. They're just shooting witches, and they just start taking off on brooms like when you flick on a light and the cockroaches scatter. I mean, it's the funniest thing. It really, I started to giggle about it. There's nothing else like it. I always knew if I can get him to smile ear to ear, like, okay, there's a good take, or there's a good scene, or there's a good suggestion, or whatever the heck it was. It's like, he's soft spoken, he's quiet, but with that, he can command the set. And he knows what he wants. And he wrote this story, and he knows what it should be.
They're starting to wonder who they are and why their parents abandoned them when they were kids, and why is it that they do this, and so they're sort of they're doing their job. It's become quite mundane in a way, even though it's killing witches. And so then something comes into the story which elevates everything and makes it more tense for them, so that lots of things come together. They sort of have the same instincts and same mind, and are very in tune with one another. Yet they are so different. He is sort of, she is the brains behind the operation, and he's the brawl. He's the action. He's the joker. He's the show off, and she's. She lets him do that. That's how they work. She's very much more the watcher and the serious one. But the thing that I loved about the script, and I think I can speak the same for Jeremy, when reading it, was that the heart of it is a brother and sister relationship. The brother and sister who have been through loads and lost their parents and don't know who they are, and are reliant on one another. Great to work with Jeremy on, because he really he's unafraid of, he can do all of this action stuff. He's a pro. He can, he's amazing at it, but he really does have this sensitivity as well, which is, he accesses that when needed. But there's a lot of fun as well in the relationship. I think Jeremy and I from the offset just got on immediately. We had that sort of banter, and we behaved like brother and sister on an offset. The best thing to do was to train for 3 weeks. I came in before anybody, and I met up with the stunt team and worked with them on my physicality and learned how to fight. And I'd done a fight training for about 3 years when I was studying, but this was an intensive sort of boot camp, and it was so helpful because it just rooted me and made me much more present. I remember the very first day. When we shot that scene in Augsburg, it could have been such an overwhelming day for him, and I'm sure it was. It was for everybody, because it's the first day and there's loads of extras and a massive set and whatnot. And he was just great, and giving us notes that were really precise, real actor's notes, but at the same time he, has a real vision and understands action. Peter is one of my favourite actors. He doesn't know this, and he's in one of my favourite films, the film that inspired me to be an actress, actually. And so when I heard that he was in this film, I was thrilled, because then I went, yes, Tommy's got great taste, He's cast this great guy that can, on a sixpence turn, he's a real chameleon, and has many, he can play anything, he can do anything, really. Has this great presence when you meet him. He's so tall and big and booming voice, and yet can be so pathetic as well. And that's what we wanted. We wanted Berenger to be, he only does what he does because he's scared. And like many sort of dictators or rulers or whatever, anyone that needs power does. And it was great working with him. I find him quite adorable, and even though Hansel's, plays around with him, I think he does as well. There's this great thing that we discovered, that me and Jeremy decided that we have this real affection for children and young people, because we were, we were kidnapped when we were kids, and, so we always try and save kids, and I think there's something innocent about him that we just really love, and he wants to try so hard. And one of my favourite scenes to shoot as well was when I wake up in Ben's bed after he rescues me, and I find posters of me on the wall, and and he's getting a bit too close for comfort, cleaning me, and it was such a nice scene to film. And Tom, who plays Ben, he's a really great actor. He's really perfect for the role. I found it to be an amazing experience because he really did bring this mechanical creature to life, and the puppeteers as well. And it was this real collaboration. It was a real joint effort and an amazing feat. And because he was so imposing and so real looking, and even little expressions that he'd make, you can't help but feel affected by that. It was like working with a real person. I was just amazed. I've never seen prosthetics like it. They made people look repulsive, and there was one that had a tumour on its growing out of its face, and you really were quite horrified when you saw them. And yet it's the thing that I love the most about this film so far is this style, this comedy horror style. They are funny as well, the way that they move, the way they speak, is funny. But great, again, you don't have to imagine anything, it's there, it's, brilliant. And it's such a vision that was accomplished, and the costumes and the makeup were just incredible. Marlene had come up with these drawings, and everybody went crazy for them, and I thought they were great. And originally it was like thigh-high boots and, very gothic looking. And then we softened it. I made it a little bit more hunter-like, forest colours, and but still leather pants. And it's a period movie, but not so. I was allowed to wear trousers, which was great because obviously I had to do lots of running around, and yeah, I think my costume evolved into being practical, quite tomboyish yet sexy, and she did such a great job. I honestly would wear that costume just down the street. I love it. She's such a clever designer. Everywhere you looked, there was, some immense detail. And because it was such a huge set, you can't help but feel like you are there, Apart from, I turn around, oh, there's green screen, apart from that, but pretty much, everything else was there. And it's a gift when you get, especially in these times where green screen is just becoming more and more, and it's expensive to build a set. But I think it's worth it.
I play Muriel. And Muriel is the head witch. Let's say she's the most powerful witch, and she sort of rules all the other crazy witches that we have on the movie. It's so empowering because I look so scary. I'm scared of myself, the way I look, that it kind of gives you this freedom to do whatever you want to do. You can be as ugly and nasty and mean as you possibly want to be, because you don't have to worry about all the things that you normally worry about as an actor. So it's really liberating, and I do think that it was the right choice for the character. And they're very fun, having their little sidekicks, because the little redhead witch I love to hate in the movie. I think it's the perfect, one to just always be. I'm still waiting for my moment to do it. I talked to Tommy about it. I did it with Joanna's character already, where I get tired of her and I just make a hand movement and she flies up against the wall. So I wanted to do something similar to something, in that vein but it's something just slightly worse to the redhead witch, just because she annoys me. And, so I think it's just that for Muriel, it doesn't stop. It's not just Hansel and Gretel or anybody else that crosses her path. It's even the witches when they don't behave the way she wants to, or she doesn't get the information quickly enough. She'll, torture them too. They're very violent, and so it's actually not that weird that it ends up being made for an audience that's older than for children. But I mean, we've all grown up with fairy tales. We all love them. We've all been mortified by them. Well, you have to give Tommy credit for what he's done with this film. He's taken the very well-known Hansel and Gretel fairy tale and twisted it around, turned it on its head, and done something very unexpected and different with it, so that it's not the fairy tale for little kids anymore, but it's a grown-up version of it, and sort of, what happens after the fairy tale that we've all known is over, and they grow up, and, they go and hunt witches. What's so nice to see, and I cannot say enough nice things about Tommy, what you want in a director is that you want somebody who knows what he wants. You want somebody who stands up for you. He really went to bat for some of the actors that he wanted, and he had a specific vision in mind, and so he went with very unexpected choices. There are a lot of more unknown European actors in this movie that in most studio films in America, they just won't appear in them. They go for much bigger names. But that, that's Tommy's doing. He had a specific vision in mind. He stuck by it. And then he just fought for as long as he had to get who he wanted for these parts. So, and he's had this throughout, and I see it every single day on set. He's the one he's the mastermind behind this entire project. He knows what he wants. He goes after it. He doesn't stop until he gets it. And, that's really nice to feel when you're as an actor in a movie. The sets are truly spectacular. And, I think he's done the same thing that Marlene did, where it's creating a new look, a new time period, something that's very suitable for Hansel and Gretel witch hunters, which is sort of its own time.
When I read the script, I knew it would be a very special twist to the old Brothers Grimm story, even if it includes everything the Brothers Grimms ever wrote about, really. But it's his twist, and he has a fantastic way of writing, and he is really good at dialogue, even in English. And I wasn't really surprised at all. I was just surprised how smart Tommy is, and how broad his fantasy is, and the span of his imagination. I knew it would be something spectacular. I'm a sheriff of this little town called Augsburg, or Augsburg in German, not Augsburg, what we have to say. But I'm a sheriff looking like I'm doing now with this, and slick back hair, and really cool clothes. Gemma, which is a really pleasure to work, which I've worked, we have most scenes together in this movie. Young, upcoming star, I think that's going to go very far. All the witches, at one day they had 52 here doing their makeup test, and everybody's like 22 guys working with them. And they had to start 3 o'clock in the morning to be ready 6 o'clock. One witch had 3.5 to 4 hours of the prosthetics. I've done it once in my life with the prosthetics, that's enough. And they had to do it over and over and over again. So they look very cool, and I like Tommy's aspect that some of the witches are so sexy and cool. It's a beautiful set, it's a magnificent set, and it's always a pleasure to be on a set that has been built by great craftsmen and great visionaries. It's something sometimes you walk onto green screens as an actor a lot, or you do modern dramas. You're in the streets, you're in an office or whatever. But when you walk into, it becomes sort of, you have a reverence, and you have I don't know, you just feel like someone has built all this detail, and it's been so beautiful designed. So as an actor, you want to match it. You want to be good. You want to match the surrounding you're in. They do a lot of live flying too, just with wires and harnesses, and which is also rare today, because it's all done in green screen. Here they do it in the forest a lot too, and they rig, and they have, take days to rig, and it looks fantastic. it rocks. It has moments that are so cool. And I've seen a couple of trailers that are just boom, over. Wow, that was a bulldozer right through my brain.
Mina is kind of special. She's a little bit weird. And I think she's very pure. She's a white witch, and who obviously likes Hansel a lot. Of course, I have heard about Jeremy, and when I was in LA, like it was 5 months before we started to shoot the film, and I had the audition, and I remember when he was walking the hallway, and I was looking at him, and I said, "Okay, here is Jeremy Renner. I have seen Hurt Locker, I have seen The Town, and I'm a big fan of him." And so I was a little bit nervous first, but he's extremely easy to approach, and straight away we had very good connection, and we enjoyed to work together. I enjoyed to work with him so much. I'm I'm lucky. Gemma is very smart, and she has extremely good sense of humor. So for me, because everything is kind of new for me. Like, not new. I have done, of course, films in Europe. This is my first film in, like, American film. So I don't know. When I was looking at her, how she's working, and she's relaxed, and she has this, like, I don't know. I admire her. When I saw first time all the witches, I was looking at them, and they look amazing. And then I went to Tommy, and I was asking him that how it feels that you have been there, very north, in Norway, in your room, and you have been thinking that then there could be this tumor witch. And then you're writing, and then actually suddenly all of those characters that he has created in his mind, they're there. But how it feels, it have to be amazing. That this is just my imagination, you know. The thing is that this is so international crew. It's interesting. It's a lot of fun, and it makes me feel also more comfortable, because if all the other ones would be Americans, I would probably feel a little bit lonely with my accent or something. But we had, like, with Ingrid and Joanna from Poland, we have great time together. Even though there is a lot of action and blood, and it's not a splatter. It's not for men only. I think it's. I hope that also women are gonna find the film, but it's not for people who are 10.
Ben is Hansel and Gretel's #1 fan, and he's very excited when he finds out that Hansel and Gretel have been called into Augsburg to take care of a witch infestation that's taking place, and so he kind of makes it his mission to sort of find them and talk to them, and he's, you know, a little bit starstruck when he first meets them, and you know, he really wants to help them out in this whole witch thing, because that's, you know, his passion is witches. The biggest thing that Ben has going for him is that he's very persistent, and he knows a lot about witch hunting, and in the end, like, Hansel and Gretel sort of come to realize that maybe he is more helpful than they first thought. Gemma's just a lovely British girl, and she's very funny, and then Jeremy is also just really, really a cool, nice guy, very down to earth. I was really excited when I read the script. That it was just so much. It was such a fun read, and I knew it was going to be just as much fun to shoot. The only other country I'd been to besides the U.S. was Canada for, like, a small amount of time. So it was definitely an adventure coming here for the first time overseas, and then being a part of this cast, which is so international. I mean, we got people from Sweden, Finland, you know, Germany, and then the UK, and then America. So that was fun. It was a new experience for me, and I've learned a lot. Sort of got that Evil Dead vibe where it's, it's really violent, but it's still fun and playful at the same time. It doesn't take itself too seriously. While it has its darker moments, it's certainly still a fun movie. I think any sort of horror fans or horror junkies will really, really love this movie and have a great time watching it. That's the main thing. I just hope people have fun watching this movie, and I think, it was fun to shoot. And if they had as much fun watching as we had shooting it, then we did our job.